The fourth arm system of government. Have you ever wondered if the traditional three branches of government were enough to represent the people? What if we told you there is a fourth arm of government that could truly give power back to the people? This innovative and revolutionary concept represents a new era of democracy where every citizen has a voice and an active role in decision-making. From local to national decisions, this fourth arm of government promises to bring about a new level of transparency, accountability, and progress. It's time to learn about how this could change the future of our society. Join us on this eye-opening journey as we introduce the fourth arm of government called the chiefs. A century ago, the rich nations were 20 times richer than the poor countries, but now they are hundreds times richer. The democratic system is unfair to people at the lowest status of life. The economic, political, and social challenges faced by African nations could only be solved through deep thinking. Africa must focus policies on the root causes of underdevelopment and persistent government failures and remove all the structures of weakness and fiasco in their political system. The continent needs structural reforms through radical, creative, and innovative policies. The ideal of democracy is justice, equality, and respect for the people. It is defined as government of the people for the people by the people. Who are the people? Men, women, children, teenagers, elders, and prisoners. Despite popular belief, democracy and good governance were not introduced to Africa by colonizers. In fact, pre-colonial African societies had inclusive systems of government that recognized and respected the rights of women, teenagers, and slaves. In contrast, Europe and America's history of slavery included human bondage, forced labor, and death. Even today, democratic systems can exclude certain groups, such as citizens with criminal records and women who were only granted the right to vote after 1926. In pre-colonial Africa, women held significant economic and political power, and female leaders such as Queen Amina and Yaya Sandowa led wars. It's time to recognize the rich legacy of African governance and the powerful women who have contributed to it. Why then did Africa accept the new system of governance, which is subordinate to what was practiced for centuries? The colonial powers dismantled the traditional monarchies and placed them under the control of the political class. Pan-Africanists like Kwame Nkrumah was removed from office, while the likes of Sylvanus Epifanio Olympio, Patrice Lumumba, Thomas Sankara, Murtala Ramat Mohand were assassinated. Miratala was killed 34 days after making his speech, "Africa has come of age." What political, social, or economic achievement has the executive, legislative, and judiciary brought into the African continent? This democratic system of government is of vengeance, spite, and entrapment, where opposing politicians deliberately sabotage each other's policies to fail at the expense of the citizens' misery. The governance of the state is traditionally divided into three branches, each with separate and independent powers and responsibilities: an executive, a legislature, and a judiciary. These three arms of government have evolved in order that the goals and business of government may be achieved and carried out effectively. The distribution of power in this way is intended to prevent any one branch or person from being supreme and to introduce checks and balances through which one branch may limit another. None of the three branches may exercise the power of the other, nor should any person be a member of more than one of the branches. This system of government only succeeds in countries with high literacy rate, with a common language, familiar culture, similar worship, and same race or tribe. Such society must also have efficient law enforcement agent and an independent judicial system. Furthermore, the success of these arms of government is based on selflessness of the office holders, who must govern with conscience and not ego-driven. Unfortunately, all the elements that will allow the success of the system of government introduced to Africans were lacking, as the people have competing religion, culture, and tribal ideologies, high illiteracy rate in different languages. Moreover, as at the time an African gained independence, the democratic system introduced to the continent endorsed some lackeys to be in charge, This then plagued those governments with corruption, a flawed judicial system, the breakdown of the rule of law, the normalization of violence, high levels of poverty, and tribal conflict. To promote normalcy, dignity, and selflessness in African governance, public office holders must be accountable to the people and be subject to citizen regulation. They should prioritize spending time and resources locally rather than living in luxury or going on foreign trips. An autonomous arm should be established to express grievances, block public office holders from siphoning wealth from their countries, and request the removal of corrupt officials. Additionally, there should be no barriers or hindrances to making life easier for citizens. Most importantly, the People's Manifesto should be presented by the chiefs at election time to reflect the needs and desires of the population. Where are the citizens categorized within the three arms of government? Why are the citizens without authority while those in the three arms makes all the decision? Why are the citizens voiceless? Why must the people only enact their power once in 4 years? Why can't the people enact rules on the other three arms of government? Introducing the People's Consensus, the chiefs, the benevolent fourth arm of government. This revolutionary idea of a new democratic system of government in Africa is long overdue. It would give citizens the authority to regulate the other three arms of government and enact their own rules. The people's arm of government would ensure that citizens are not simply relegated to voting every 4 years, but are active participants in the political process. This arm would have the power to amend the Constitution and present manifestos to political parties as benchmark demands. By taking destiny into their hands for economic development and societal peace, the fourth arm of government would help to reduce violence in communities and unite the people. Imagine an unbiased government that sincerely represents and serves the people. That is the vision of the People Consensus. The chief's arm of government responsibility is to ensure the three arms are non-biased and that public office holders are not for grandeur. It will also act as checks for control and manipulation by any unforeseen forces on all public office holders. The police force and the central bank must be an independent institution that should report only to the chief's arm of government. The royal father should be autonomous. No arm of government should have the power to remove or crown any monarch. Africa must learn from predicament and ensure no institution or public office holder is beyond reproach. All public office holders must observe and uphold the high standard they expect the citizens to abide. It is hypocritical and dysfunctional for those in authority to flaunt the laws of the land, as citizens will act according to what they see their leaders do. Members of the fourth arm of government, the chiefs, the royal fathers, labor union, students' union, media, human rights group, religious organization, women, youth, Black Americans, civil rights activists, ethnic leaders, professional association, scholars, retired security force officers, former foreign ministers, etc. Funding of this arm must be directly from the central banks. Functions of the chiefs. Countries with oldest democracy are very clever in the way they design their constitution. The presidents and prime ministers could make promises and commitment to other nations, but only the Congress, House of Assembly, or House of Parliament can guarantee those promises. Likewise will the fourth arm scrutinize every policies proposed by the three arms of government and all agreements negotiated locally or internationally. The chiefs will curb the abuse of power of the three arms and enforce policies on the legislative and executive arms to eradicate poor living, hunger, and abuse in Africa. The ideology of this arm is focused on a prosperous continent. It has been observed that Africans have suffered misfortunes of slavery to colonization, and now mismanagement of natural and human resources by public office holders. Good living has eroded the African continents for over 500 years. The people has the worst living standard and lifestyle in the world, without any futuristic planning to alleviate the suffering of 1.4 billion people by those in authority who focused mainly on acquiring wealth for themselves, families, and friends. In conclusion, we call on scholars and historians to explore the possibility of a fourth arm of government that can serve as a check and balance on African political institutions. The rampant self-centeredness, egocentricity, mismanagement, godfatherism, election rigging, and external control must be eradicated if Africa is to reach its potential as a developed nation. We have the land, the population, and the natural resources. What we lack is a political system that prioritizes the people's needs and interests. By enforcing restrictions on the political class's modus operandi through a manifesto, we can ensure that our politicians are held accountable and that they work towards the betterment of society. Together, let us strive to build a better, more equitable Africa. Thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed this video and gained valuable insights. To stay up to date on our latest content, be sure to hit that subscribe button. You won't want to miss our upcoming video on the People's Manifesto. So stay tuned and get ready to join the movement towards a brighter future for all.